Your local news and weather from where you live. Newswatch 12 Midday starts now.
Thanks for joining us for Newswatch 12 Midday. I'm Dakota Sherrick. You normally need to go to a big city to find the newest, coolest technology, but small Northwood schools have something big districts want. Yesterday, Milwaukee school leaders traveled north to learn more. More than a dozen MPS principals, teachers, and the superintendent visited Three Lakes, Northland Pines, and Florence schools to see their Fab Labs. A conversation between State Representative Mary Felskowski and MPS Superintendent Dr. Darian Driver sparked the idea for the tour. Three Lakes was the first K-12 district in the state to get a Fab Lab.
We're can-do people. And maybe that's because we've had to be. You know, we don't have everything at our fingertips. And, you know, the challenge was put out there and we've risen to the challenge.
Seeing this firsthand now, my principals have a visual of what we can do at MPS, so everybody's really excited.
Visitors checked out 3D printers and laser engravers. Students also talked about what projects they've done this year. Pines District Administrator Mike Ritchie was happy to see a lot of learning going on among teachers.
If we can come up with some good ideas from the Milwaukee Public Schools, if they can come up with good ideas from us, it's definitely a success story.
Milwaukee's Washington High School is getting its first Fab Lab today. MPS leaders say they hope to invite Northwoods leaders down south to see what they've accomplished soon. And today I was really excited to wake up and see the sunshine this morning. Ryan, what's in store for us?
Hey Dakota, yeah, the sunshine is out full blast today.
Thanks, Ryan. The pond hockey tournament brings thousands of people from all over the world to Eagle River every February. This year's event is next weekend. That means preparation work needs to be done now. Eagle River firefighters and other volunteers plowed Dollar Lake yesterday afternoon. They made multiple 415-foot lanes. That's just the first step to the rink-making process.
We'll close them up next week and make them all into the individual 24 rinks, but right now we're just getting just the straight lanes.
The snow clearing process was a little bumpy because of the snow and slush we've had lately, but that won't be the case after today.
We can kind of get them smoothed out. Like I say, it won't be perfect like you have in an arena, but it'll be a little better than just the natural ice that's out here.
The 12th annual pond hockey tournament begins next Friday. Prosecutors think that a Rhinelander man stole mail from people in Oneida County. 21-year-old Alex Durand appeared in the Oneida County Court yesterday. He is charged with credit card fraud, car theft, mail theft, and bail jumping. Police arrested Durand last month for driving a car that was reported stolen. They found mail in the car that did not belong to Durand. A judge decided yesterday there's enough evidence for the case to go forward. Durand will be back in court later this month to enter a plea. Last year, 112 people called Rhinelander's Frederick Place home. The homeless shelter opened its doors in 2011, and on Tuesday it celebrated its 6 years of helping adults, children, and families in the Northwoods.
When people talked 6 years ago about, do we really need a homeless shelter, I don't think anyone would have ever believed that we would have never been empty, that we would average 10 to 12. And so I think that vision has changed.
NATH Executive Director Tammy Modick says it's important for people to understand who a homeless person is. Modick also says she never expected the amount of respect and gratitude she would get from Frederick Place residents.
They are the first to help when, you know, a donation comes in or when we need to move something or haul something. And I don't think I ever envisioned that. That has been probably the biggest positive benefit to the last 6 years, to still watch that continue.
Modick says she hopes Frederick Place can keep helping residents transition from emergency housing to their permanent homes in the future. Some school administrators hope they'll soon be able to start the school year before September 1st. A state law enacted in 2000 prohibits public schools from starting earlier than September. Republican Representative Jim Ott is circulating a bill that would remove that restriction. Schools have pushed for years for the option to start earlier to align with high school sports practices. It would also free up time for advanced placement exams in the spring. Businesses that rely on tourists don't want school year shifting back into August. Republican Senator Luther Olson, whose district includes the Wisconsin Dells, says he'll fight any budget that includes changing the school start date. The Wisconsin Department of Justice will investigate after a deadly shooting involving officers in southern Wisconsin. Walworth County Sheriff Kurt Picknell says a deputy and a police officer from Elkhorn were involved in the shooting Thursday night. A man died after being shot at Highway H and Petrie Road in the town of Geneva. No one else was injured. No other details were released about the circumstances surrounding the shooting. A candy maker explains how a batch of Skittles wound up spread across a road in southern Wisconsin's Dodge County. Mars says it started with a miscommunication with a subcontractor. A defective batch of Skittles was reportedly on its way to becoming cattle feed when it spilled across a highway. Selling food for byproducts for use in animal feed is not uncommon. Even so, Mars says that the factory that made the spilled Skittles was not approved to sell them for feed. The company says it doesn't believe there was any ill intent and that the corrective action is being taken. President Trump sends a warning shot to Iran, tweeting, "They're playing with fire." Now, after a week focused on global affairs, the president will be looking toward the business world. Here's NBC's Hallie Jackson.
After a bunch of business roundtables, the one today getting slightly smaller. The head of Uber, after backlash, now bailing on a planned meeting with the president, quitting his advisory council altogether. The CEO of Tesla still attending today's session, but planning to express objections to the recent executive order on immigration. The president shifting his focus to the financial sector today after a week dominated by foreign policy. According to two sources familiar with the plan, the Trump administration could slap new sanctions on Iran as early as today after its ballistic missile test. The move coming less than 48 hours after the president's team put that country on notice.
Nothing is off the table.
One of America's closest allies in the spotlight, too, after what's been described as a blunt call with President Trump and the Prime Minister of Australia. The Trump administration unhappy with the deal put in place under the Obama administration that would resettle more than 1,000 refugees here.
When you hear about the tough phone calls I'm having, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. They're tough. We have to be tough. It's time we're going to be a little tough.
The Australian ambassador showing up at the White House for a meeting with top Trump aides, one described as very productive.
Hi, I'm the new guy.
All of it landing on the plate of new Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, greeting staffers at his new office after a prayer breakfast with the president. A breakfast where Donald Trump went off script and, his critics argue, off color, taking a jab at his replacement on The Apprentice.
They hired a big movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, to take my place. The ratings went right down the tubes. It's been a total disaster, and I want to just pray for Arnold if we can for those ratings, okay?
To the White House, a lighthearted moment. To the former California governor, an opening for his own attack and offer of a job switch.
And then people can finally sleep comfortably again.
A shooting outside a famous tourist attraction in Paris has the city on high alert. Coming up on Newswatch 12 midday, no one was killed, but a suspect was wounded.
Cool down Wednesday and Thursday, so winter is not quite done yet. I know the groundhog saw his shadow, meaning 6 more weeks of winter, and that's definitely the case this week.
Yeah, I'm just really looking forward to getting those -20 wind chills out of here.
Right, yeah, those are all right, but it's good for the winter stuff we have on the lakes coming up the next few weeks to help the ice freeze more, so
that is
it's good news for that.
Yep. And it's time now to take a look at what's going on in the Northwoods. Have some fun while helping out the Northwoods Alliance for Temporary Housing. Their 6th anniversary benefit begins at 5:30 Saturday night at the Quality Inn in Rhinelander. Tickets are $45 and include a meal provided by Rhinelander Cafe and Pub. They'll also have raffles and a live auction. Call Tammy at 715-369-9777.
And see who can drive the fastest on the ice in Merrill. The Merrill Ice Drags will be underway from noon to 4 on Saturday on Lake Alexander. It's an 1/8 of a mile drag race on the ice. Call the Merrill Chamber at 715-536-9474.
And if you want to submit an area event to see on air, you must go to our website, wjfw.com. Follow the links as you see on the screen. The link is on the top right side of the page where you can click on area events. That's where you can view other events or submit one. A shooting outside a popular tourist attraction in Paris raised tensions. The French president says the situation at the Louvre Museum in Paris is totally under control, but the threat to France remains. NBC's Matt Bradley reports from Paris.
Thanks very much. As if this city and indeed this whole continent couldn't be any more on edge, an unknown assailant this morning attacked soldiers who just happened to be on patrol outside the Louvre Museum behind me. This is one of the most visited tourist sites in all of Europe, and while no one was killed, it definitely put a lot of tourists on edge.
I wonder if it's a training exercise.
But it clearly wasn't. Alarms sounding at the Louvre in Paris. A man armed with a machete and a knife rushed at military police. They opened fire and fired 5 times, seriously wounding the attacker. 1 soldier was injured. Inside the lockdown Louvre, terrified tourists huddled on the ground before being evacuated, glad to be safe. This witness described what it was like. Everyone was panicking, she said. We thought of our lives. We saw death coming for us. American Rachel Gasser was at the museum.
So they took us to a safe place.
A French police spokesman saying the man presenting a direct threat, adding that the man shouted Allahu Akbar, Arabic for God is great, during the incident.
We've been seeing a massive deployment of heavily armed soldiers and police officers fanning out around the Louvre Museum all morning. It's an increasingly common sight. Remember, Paris has been under a state of high alert, its highest level for a year and a half. Back to you.
People usually try to be careful with their personal information. Even so, there are sites online that allow just about anyone to learn about you with a simple search. Mark Barger shows us how easy it is and how to opt out.
And search.
It is simple.
There I am.
And all you have to know is a name.
Should I be scared?
Dozens of websites make your personal information easily accessible.
Like all the way back to when I was in grade school.
My mother is on here, my brother is on here.
Some free, others for a small fee.
If I pay, I could see address, birthday, email, phone number, my family.
Making a profit off of your information legally.
That's pretty creepy.
Information that's public record or that you may have provided voluntarily.
Anytime that you share information through a service or through a social media account, it's possible that that could be a public-facing piece of information.
There's usually a way to opt out. For some sites, a simple online form.
Sometimes it's more complicated. They'll ask you for proof of identity, for instance, a state-issued driver's license.
It can also be like playing whack-a-mole, dealing with new websites as they pop up. But services like Delete Me will do it for you.
We remove your personal information from many of the largest data broker websites.
It's $129 a year, and while it might give peace of mind,
it's pretty much impossible to become invisible these days.
You would pretty much have to be living under a rock not to have any details out there whatsoever.
Even then, the address of that rock might still wind up being listed.
That's what I'm looking for, some privacy.
Mark Barger, NBC News.
Improving internet access in rural areas like the town of Newbold can be a challenge. Coming up on Newswatch 12 at 5, we'll take you along as workers climb to the top of a tall tower to install equipment. Join us tonight for Newswatch 12 at 5.
And one final look at your weather here. Right now, temperature is around 10 degrees in Rhinelander, 10 in Merrill, 5 down in Wausau. We'll see those temperatures rise into the mid-teens for our afternoon high. Temps started out below 0 this morning, so they'll warm up some here this afternoon, but the wind chill is still a factor out there. Winds are out of the west today, around 10 miles an hour, gusting up near 20 at times. Those wind chills are going to be around -10, maybe a little cooler this evening, -20, but still a pretty chilly but sunny day across northern Wisconsin. Radar and satellite pretty clear right now. Not much going on. Plenty of sunshine through the day. Maybe a few clouds later this afternoon, but otherwise a pretty decent day in store for your Friday. In your 7-day forecast here, snow likely tomorrow, 1 to 2 inches out of that, but will dry out Sunday. Temperatures in the 20s, and then a potential storm system early next week could bring more snow to the forecast, but will cool off by the end of next week, back in the teens. So winter not quite done yet here in the Northwoods.
Yeah, I wish that the sunshine and temperature would match up a little bit more. But have a great day. Join us again this afternoon for Up North at 4.